Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hello, welcome to Love Your Body, Love Your Life. My name is Jenna. I'm the host of the show, and I'm also the author of the book titled Love Your Body, Love Your Life, 52 Tips That Will Radically Change Your Health. You can find my book on Amazon and on barnesandnoble.com. And welcome, you guys. I'm live again today, solo. I think this is like my sixth show solo. And so I'm always like, I get up like kind of feeling bubbly when I know I'm going to come talk to you guys. And it's show day, you know, like all week I'm thinking about something great to deliver to you guys and what I want to talk about and have some really good content, you know, some rich content to share. And I will say that I'm always inspired by my own personal life, right? And what's going on with me. And, you know, what happens, it just kind of inspires my topic for the show. So today I chose the title, happiness and staying in our happy flow, even when we're triggered. So why did I choose that? Well, yeah, obviously I was triggered, a lot. I felt like last week. And some big triggers and some little triggers. And it's interesting because I feel like the big triggers happen primarily from the people closest to us, right? It's like, yeah, it's like for whatever reason, those people that we choose to be in our lives trigger us the most. And there's a reason for that. There's a definite reason for that. It's because we actually called them in, you know, spiritually on like a bigger picture type of conversation. We called these people in to be able to trigger us to look more deeply into ourselves. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, but I wanted to just share with you guys too that I picked this topic because honestly, it's been an integral part of my healing journey in staying like on subject. And what I mean by staying on subject is staying on myself, like really focusing on me and not externally, right? So I grew up, I'm going to just say it, I grew up being like controlled a lot and manipulated a lot. And so I got the message that I was responsible for other people's feelings and that my feelings and my decisions and what I thought was right for me didn't matter. And that was just the message that I picked up as a kid. Okay. So basically I went into adulthood not really knowing exactly what I liked, knowing exactly what I wanted for me. I was always looking externally out into the world to see like, who can I please? Who can I make feel better, I guess, in a sense? In other words, for them to reciprocate that feeling of happiness back to me and that feeling of love. So I was always looking in external like relationships, you know, even like external experiences to get that reciprocal happiness back to me. So that's been quite a bit of my journey, you guys, if I'm honest, is really learning how to take that energy back and stay in my own body and stay in my own situation and really kind of decipher like, is this my stuff or is this their stuff? You know, am I going to let this trigger me because it's theirs? Or am I just going to keep moving on and feeling what I feel for me? And I'm highly empathic, you know, so it's like doubly, it's like a double whammy in a sense. And so Yeah. And I've had to learn that. I've had to learn, other things like self-love. I never knew what that really entailed. Um, so anyway, so that's why I picked this topic, because how do we stay on subject, meaning ourselves internally, and calm and happy when other people trigger us or something comes up? And obviously, I'm not talking about like, if somebody's sad and you just kind of want to be there for them to support them. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if somebody does you wrong, or if you feel like something is said in a derogatory way, or to make you feel a certain way, to make you feel bad about yourself, to make you feel, less than, you can tell the difference. There's a difference there, right? That I'm not talking about you like being supportive of somebody else and being sad with them and holding space for them for a heartbreak, let's say. I'm talking about something that's deliberate, that's somebody that's doing something to you deliberately, or even like an external circumstance that you have no control over. It's like, how do we stay happy in those times? So let's open up the conversation. How do we do that? I think, first of all, it's important to obviously do the inner work. That's what I'm really talking about here. It's do the inner work, find out who you are, find out what makes you happy, find out and learn about yourself more. So there are a couple of things that I know make me happy and can like easily bring me back to center, where I'm calm, I'm in my own body, I'm in my own feelings, I'm in my own energy, right? And so I'll share a couple things with you that make me happy and feel good. And one of them's journaling. I talked about that last week on the show. So if anybody's into journaling or you want to start that, I have 21 journaling prompts on my website at jennalobos.com. So if you guys want to check that out. But one of the things that I love about the journaling, is that nobody's going to read it. Okay. You can go to your journal, like this last week when I was like thinking in my head, like, what am I going to talk about on the show next week, which is today. I got really triggered. I'll just be honest. I had big feelings come up, and I had nowhere to turn in that moment. Like no one to call. I don't have like I don't really have a trusted person that I can call at any moment. I do work with a mentor. But like I have our appointment every week, right? So it's not like I could call her and be like, oh my God, this just happened, and I don't have that person, you guys. I really don't. It's me, and so I have to figure out how to process things on my own a lot, so what did I do? I pulled out my journal and I just started writing all my feelings down. And the good thing about that is that I can cuss, I can tell somebody off, I can just let it all out on the page, and nobody's going to read it, okay, except for me, my eyes only. So I just felt, and I always feel so like, oh, I took a deep breath after I like got it out of my system. So I will stop for a second because we did get a question. I want to honor that. Mitzi, my mom always read my diary when I was younger. It really sucked. I felt like I could not keep. Oh, I'm so sorry for that, Mitzi, because that is hard. I don't know how old you are now. If you want to call back in and let me know, if you're comfortable sharing your age, because I hope that did not deter you from keeping a journal or a diary. And hopefully maybe you don't live with your mom anymore, or maybe you can hide it somewhere or keep it with you, like take it with you in your car, or literally have it in your purse. Like I have a small one. Oh, it's not here. I would have showed it to you, but I have a real small one that I can keep like with me in my purse. So I'm sorry that happened to you, because that's like really an invasion of privacy, right? So that's not cool. That's like uncool. I'm sorry that happened. I would pick it back up. I would get something that you can keep with yourself and don't stop, because it really is a game changer when you can just pour your thoughts out. Um, and honestly, Mitzi, this is a prime example of what I'm talking about. That is a big trigger. That's like a boundary, that's like something that your mom just totally did not she doesn't have any boundaries with you. Not cool. Not good at all. Um, so yeah, don't let it stop you. Find a way to keep your diary, because that's something that is for you. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, you guys. You have to figure out a way to stay in the zone. And if journaling and diary is one of them, then figure out something that keeps you with your boundaries and that you're not crossed. Hide it, hide your journal. So yeah, anyways, so where was I? Okay, so that's one way. That's a big way that I keep in my happy zone, is I stay on myself. I really try to focus on me, especially if you have people like this in your life that have no boundaries. That's another big reason to focus on you. In like a dynamic of like a boundaryless relationship, or even like an alcoholic relationship, where the alcoholic really wants all of the attention, right? I'm using this as an example. They want all the attention on them. An addictive personality basically wants all the attention. So in that situation, you really have to focus on you in every moment, you guys, in every moment. Focus on your goals, focus on getting up and taking care of yourself. I mean, just the little things, like create a ritual for yourself. I'm going to have my hot lemon and water in the morning. I'm going to have my hot tea. I'm going to make myself a toast. I mean, just these little self-care things can lead to bigger things. So you really have to stay focused on you. Focus on you always. How do you get into your body? Okay, we talked about journaling. Go for a walk. These are things that keep me happy and on subject, me. I love sunshine. I love getting out in the weather. Walks on the beach. I love my green tea. It makes me happy. It makes me just, I don't know, it just brings me back to me and the simple things. I love deep conversation. I love it. If you can have a deep conversation with a trusted person or a mentor, that's priceless, you guys, because the triggers are actually happening for us and not to us. And this is a big part of having a different perspective on what triggers you. It's important. It's important. And if you're not going to talk to somebody and like dissect the trigger, then talk to yourself, or have a trusted friend and have these deep conversations. But it's important to know that they're happening for you and there's a deeper meaning to why you're getting triggered. So an example, you get angry. What about that trigger is making you angry? Is it something that's happened over and over again? Is it a pattern? Is it, something that happened in your childhood that is now coming back up to surface? It's happening for you. It's coming back up because it's time for you to heal. It's time for you to actually integrate that part of yourself that gets angry back to you and actually use that energy for good. I'm using anger as an example, but anger actually is a fire inside of us, right? think about it. You get angry and it's like, it's like you have all this energy, and it's like you can either use that for bad and make it worse and go and tell like 10 people and make this drama like worse and bigger and all these things, and it's dramatic and it's like this big deal, and it's like just making you feel worse. Or you can turn that fire into something else, make it go, bake something, paint something, make art, create something. I'm a singer, so I use my emotions a lot for singing. I have a lot of experiences, you guys. Believe it or not, I have been through so much. And so now I have all these emotions that I can use and turn them into my poetry, my singing, my songwriting. And so, this last week when I was triggered, I had some big emotions come up. I immediately went to my journal and I let them out. And then other times little triggers happen and I have to decipher, okay, like, what am I going to do with this? Right. So I'll tell you guys a personal story. So last week I went to go get a facial, and I get into the facial room, and by the way, I love the facialist, right? She calls herself a badass facialist, and she really is. I'll give her that. But so I go into the facial room, she's tucking me in, and we've already had like a little bit of conversation. And she's tucking me in the bed, and she's like putting the blanket on me. And I do the facial, and she tells me in the room, I'm going to do some body work on you for free. Is that okay, Jenna? And I'm like tucked in the bed, and am I going to say no? Like, come on. She's offering me body work for free, meaning she's going to give me extra massage on my body for free, which was not included in the facial. And I was like, sure, yeah, of course. Okay. So we go through the facial, we do the thing. It's whatever, 60, 75 minutes, whatever it is. I lost track of time. And so after we get out of the room, she hands me a tea, a hot tea, and a water. I'm like double fisted, right? I'm like I have to pee really bad. So I go to the bathroom and I'm peeing. I'm having my the water and the hot tea. I'm going up to the, pay. I'm like dreary, like after you get out of massage, you're like, kind of dreamy, like you're just feeling like you just woke up. And so of course they want you to buy product along with the facial. So I go and I'm going to pay for my facial. And of course she has product there laid out, and she's standing right there. She's like, she had written out like this whole program for my face for what she wanted me to do, like this protocol, right? For post facial kind of thing. And we're standing there at the cash register, and the woman behind the cash register is waiting for the facialist to tell me about the products and all this stuff. And in front of the cash register lady, she tells me, next time you're going to need to book 15 minutes earlier so I can massage you. And I was like, oh, like I immediately woke up out of my like droggy state, right? Because I'm feeling something, right? Because in the room, she offered me 15 minutes of free massage. But now outside in front of the cash register lady, when she's trying to like sell me product and give me this post facial protocol telling me to come back, basically, she's kind of like reprimanding me in a way, I guess, like that I needed to book 15 minutes earlier to get this massage that she offered for free. And I'm like, oh, all of a sudden I'm like alert, like this. I'm just giving you an example of like a trigger, right? Like, oh, like, wait, I didn't ask for the 15-minute massage. Did I? And I'm recalling, like, did I do something wrong? Like, my point is that I left there and I got in my car and I was like, what, WTF? Like, what what just happened? Like, I shared with you guys earlier that I've been pretty much manipulated and controlled all of my life. I'm just going to say it, you know? And so I've attracted these relationships that are controlling and manipulating. Obviously, now I have more of a discernment because I've worked on myself, I've healed myself. But these small little things come up now and again. And I'm like, what just happened? Because that was a manipulating type of situation, you guys. I don't know if anybody's following along in my story, but that was super like backhanded and manipulative, in my opinion. You know, like she was really super nice. Oh, and then I forgot to tell you, like, she was covering her face and winking at me in front of the, like, so the cash register lady didn't see that. She was winking at me like, oh, you know, like, so I can give you your 15-minute massage. Like, she was winking at me like, what the hell? What do I do with that? Like, I got in my car and I was like, wait a second. Do I tell on her? Like, do I call the owner of the salon and I'm going to be a tattletale? Like, you know, like I wanted to be like, I'm telling on her, like I didn't do anything wrong, but it's like, what do you do with that shit? Sorry. I'm like, seriously, like, are we 5 or 10? Like, that was not cool either. So what do we do with that, you guys? Like, I had to decipher. Like, I just decided, like, okay, what went through my head later on that day was, do I want to go back to her? Do I want to keep seeing this facialist? And the answer is yes. Like, believe it or not, the answer is yes, because I like her style. I love the facial that I get. And I have not found anybody else that gives that kind of facial in my area. You know, like, not to say that if I didn't find somebody else, I would go to somebody else, because I probably would. I would give it a try. But so I decided that for me, the best thing to do was just let it go, but also now have discernment with this woman, right? And again, I like her. I think she's cool, you know, in a sense, but that just wasn't cool what she did. So I feel like, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to address it, obviously. I'm definitely going to address it when I go back to get this facial. I'm going to say, hey, like, what happened with that? You know, just out of curiosity, right? Because it like really kind of like was like, what just happened? So I'm going to address it. This is what I decided. I'm going to address it. I'm going to ask what happened. I'm going to let her say whatever she's going to say. She's probably going to be like laughing it off, like, oh, like I wasn't supposed to give you that, or whatever her deal is. And okay, you know, because in the past, I wouldn't have said anything, you know, I would not have said anything. My voice was mute for a lot of years. And so that's one thing, you know, that's one thing to stay in our happy flow and to have self-love, you guys, we have to speak our truth. We do. We have to speak our truth. We have to speak up. Even if we're nervous, we're scared. I used to be really nervous and scared to speak my truth. And sometimes I do still have those feelings, but that's a part of the self-care protocol, right? It's not just going and getting a facial. That's part of it, but it's also speaking your truth, setting boundaries, you know, staying on subject, which I just talked about. And all these things keep you in your happy flow. So I'm going to stop and I'm going to read the questions. Okay, Mitzi called back. She over 40. Okay, thank you, Mitzi, for giving us your age. I was really mad. I would write horrible things to mess with her. Then it got old and I just quit writing because she did that. I have not picked it up since then, but listening to you talk about it makes me want to start another one. Thank you. Aw, you're welcome, Mitzi. 100%. I'm assuming you don't live with your mom anymore. So I would definitely start it start it up again. Yeah, it sounds like she was super controlling and manipulating. And I get it. That was the way that you wanted to kind of get back at her, to write things that would mess with her mind. And that's, that's a backlash. Um, and I understand that, but figure out a way to harness that anger, like I just talked about. Do something really good with it instead of, because here's the thing, Mitzi. The fact that let's say that you were still doing that, right? Like you were still writing things in your journal that you knew your mom would find, and to get back at her in a sense, which granted, okay, I could see why you would want to do that, but the energy is still focused on her. Okay? So that's what she wants. That's what these kind of people, your mom, but anybody, that's what they want. You're giving them what they want. The energy is still focused on them. So the goal and the lesson is, how does Mitzi stay on her? Because that's where the real gold is. That's where the diamond in the rough is. That's where it is if you put all that energy into you, heal from that place to the point where you're so big in your own life, in your own energy, in your own love for yourself, that you have no desire to focus on your mom or people like your mom. That's the goal. And I get it 100%. Trust me, I get it. It's so difficult, but it feels so good once you're there. Once you're there and you're like, you know what? Ask yourself the questions. Why does this trigger me? What is it that you want in your life that's going to bring you happiness? What's your true passions? And I always say that to myself, like, if I was where I want to be in my mind, let's say, for example, I'll just share this. I really want to be able to experience a big stage one day, you guys. I want to sing on a big stage, even if it's like an opening act or something for singing. Or I just think that experience in my lifetime would be amazing. And so when I get triggered, I think about that. Like I immediately think about that, like, goal of mine, or that desire, like to have that one experience. And what if that was happening in my life in that moment? What if the date was set? What if I had a band set up? What if that was happening in my life already? Would I be triggered by this thing? I don't think so. Or even if I was, it would be like, that's their shit, their stuff. Sorry, I've cussed like twice on this podcast. That's their stuff. And so be it. Let them have it. Like, that's not you. So Mitzi, that's what I encourage you to do. Pick up your journal again, get back in the flow, get back into you, what makes you happy, write down the things that make you happy, know what's going to bring you back to yourself. And if journaling and writing is one of them, then I say 100% go back to it. Okay. Kelly asked, my stepmother used to read my diary. We would fight. What is it with you? Oh my gosh. So Mitzi is not alone. Kelly had her stepmom read her diary. What is it with that? Oh my gosh. It makes me feel like I need to hide my, hide my diaries, hide my journals. Honestly, you guys, yeah, Kelly. So again, I'm sorry that happened. If you're like Mitzi and you don't live with your stepmom anymore, I would pick it back up. Again, I have journaling prompts on my website, jennalobos.com. So if you guys want to check that out. But it sounds like, yeah, listen, I feel like we're always going to come across people that want to take us down or are triggered by us, are triggered by whatever we're doing in the world. And again, I feel like as long as we're focused on our desires and what makes us happy, then it's not going to affect us as much, you guys. It really isn't, and especially in relationships and like love relationships. I think it's more important to know what makes you happy and how you can stay on your path, because when you are having a romantic relationship with somebody, you're super entwined and you can easily get off your path. And especially as women, we're overgivers and we need to not do that. Seriously, like we are innate. It's innate in us to care and to overgive. And I know for me, that's gotten me in a lot of trouble, like to overgive and to focus on what makes them happy and be so concerned about their feelings and not like paying attention to my life. And, it's caused me so many things, you guys. I lost so much weight in like another relationship. Like I was drinking like in my early 20s in my first like long-term relationship. Like it's just, I've been through so much, and I'm telling you, these things that I'm talking to you guys, I've really lived them. And so now I can sit here and tell you that it's not worth it. You need to figure out what makes you happy, what your desires are, what you want in life, and really focus on that. So yeah, I hope this helps you guys. I'm just looking at my notes to see. I think I did mention, it's really important to, again, I think I did mention this, but I want to reiterate, it's important to know that the triggers are happening for you and not to you. And once you can get to the place where the comeback, like for example, I'm going to use the relationship example. Let's say you're with a partner and you're always fighting, you're always getting triggered by this relationship. If you decide that you want to stay in this relationship, then you definitely need to figure out and work on yourself enough to get to the place where the comeback from the trigger is different. That it comes from a more loving place within yourself, because you will see that it will diminish the intensity of that trigger, and the energy of the dynamic within that relationship will change. And it will either, I will tell you right now, it will either fall off and they will leave, or they will rise to your energy, the higher energy of self-love. It's just law, basically. When you start working on yourself and you come from a different place that's authentic, that's true, that it's not an act, you really have to feel like, I got this. This is my gig. I got this. I know who I am. I love myself now. I'm on a good path. You have to really feel that internally. It can't just be a phoniness, because the phoniness is felt versus the authenticity of, nope, this is me. I know who I am now. That person will feel it. And again, will either rise up to the occasion or they'll leave. They'll leave the scene. And if they do leave the scene, then it's good riddance, you guys, because they did you a favor. And again, I have lived this, and that's why I can sit here and talk about it. And I, like my last relationship, my last really like big relationship, I was still healing and I didn't see that, but I had a mentor that held my hand and was holding my hand, helping me heal, through all this. And I just didn't see it. I was heartbroken. I had really fallen in love with this person, but I was also working on myself in the relationship, and I was rising. I was healing. I was stepping into new levels of myself, and my mindset, my thinking, and my internal healing was changing. And this person was not rising with me. And so what happened is just, it wasn't working. There was no match. There was no vibrational match anymore to that. And so that's what happens when we do the things. We journal, we walk, we stay on subject, we breathe, we work with a mentor. All these things, we vibrationally we rise to a different level. And the things that were working with our old self aren't going to work anymore. So people, friends, relationships, jobs, all of that will probably leave just organically. And there's nothing you can do. You could just have to accept it, or you can just stay where you're at. And if that's what you want to do, then that's okay. No judgment, that's okay. No judgment. But it's just up to you. So if you guys want to grow and rise and really stay in a happy flow and, just really feel good about your life and what you're creating, then you need to do the inner work and you need to figure out these things. And yeah, so I think that's it, you guys. If there's no more questions, I really appreciate what you guys shared, Kelly and Mitzi. And yeah, I hope this helped. I'm just trying to look at my notes, and I think I've said what I had to say. So always great to be live with you guys here today. And always, again, check out my new website, jennalobos.com. I am offering coaching for women now, and we dive deeper into everything that I talked about today. And until next time, love your body and love your life. Take care. Bye.